America entered the Second World War with a tank force so outdated and so small that its own generals privately admitted the country would have lost any early armored engagement against Germany. 4 years later, American factories were producing tanks faster than any nation in human history, flooding battlefields from the beaches of Normandy to the jungles of the Pacific with sheer overwhelming numbers. But one American tank on this list was so rushed into production that it killed more of its own crews through mechanical failure than enemy fire ever did, and exactly which machine earned that grim distinction is something we will reveal at the end of this video. This is the complete story of every tank the United States Army fielded during World War II. M2 light tank. America's primary tank when the war began in Europe, the M2 was already dangerously obsolete by 1939, thinly armored and armed with only machine guns, a relic of interwar military neglect that left the United States catastrophically unprepared for the armored warfare Germany was demonstrating across Poland and France. M2 medium tank. An awkward transitional design covered in sponsons and machine gun mounts reminiscent of World War I thinking, the M2 medium was rushed toward production before Pearl Harbor, but its high silhouette and inadequate armor made it clear to Army planners that a completely new design was desperately needed. M3 Stuart light tank. Fast and mechanically reliable, the Stuart became a favorite for reconnaissance work despite its thin armor and small 37mm gun, proving genuinely effective against Japanese tanks in the Pacific where armor thickness mattered far less than in the European theater. M3 Lee/Grant medium tank. This is the tank from the hook. Rushed into production because America desperately needed a tank capable of mounting a powerful 75mm gun before a proper turret design could be engineered, the M3 solved this by awkwardly mounting the gun in a hull sponson with limited traverse, forcing crews into a dangerously high silhouette. Early combat losses in North Africa were severe, and the design's fundamental compromises meant it was retired from frontline American service almost as soon as its intended replacement became available, though British Commonwealth forces continued using it out of sheer necessity for months longer. M4 Sherman. America's most produced tank of the war, the Sherman's greatest weapon was never its armor or firepower but the sheer overwhelming scale of American industrial production, with over 49,000 built across multiple variants, allowing Allied forces to simply replace losses faster than Germany could inflict them, a brutal war of attrition that American factories were always going to win. M4A3E8 Sherman EZ8. A significantly refined late-war variant featuring improved suspension and a more powerful 76mm gun, the EZ8 addressed many of the original Sherman's combat deficiencies against German heavy armor, becoming the definitive American tank of the war's final year. Sherman Firefly, British modified. Though modified by the British with a 17-pounder gun, American-built Sherman hulls formed the entire foundation of this devastating tank hunter variant, a reminder that American industrial output powered far more than just the U.S. Army's own armored divisions. M4A3E2 Sherman Jumbo. A heavily up-armored assault variant designed to lead columns through concentrated German anti-tank fire, the Jumbo sacrificed speed for survivability, proving invaluable during the brutal hedgerow fighting of Normandy where thin-skinned standard Shermans suffered catastrophic losses. M5 Stuart. An improved version of the original Stuart using twin Cadillac engines and automatic transmissions, the M5 offered smoother, more reliable operation, though it remained fundamentally limited by the same thin armor and small gun that plagued the entire light tank category throughout the war. M24 Chaffee. Arriving late in the war, the Chaffee represented a genuine leap forward in light tank design, combining a more powerful 75mm gun with improved armor sloping, and its influence would extend well into the post-war era as American tank designers refined its lessons. M22 Locust Airborne Tank. A tiny tank specifically designed to be transported by glider for airborne operations, the Locust saw only extremely limited combat use during the Rhine crossing, its thin armor and small gun making it far more valuable as a mobility experiment than an effective combat weapon. M6 Heavy Tank. An early attempt at an American heavy tank, the M6 suffered from poor mobility and an awkward design that never satisfied Army requirements, and despite genuine firepower potential, it was ultimately rejected for mass production in favor of continuing to refine medium tank designs instead. M26 Pershing. Finally answering the urgent need for a tank capable of directly confronting German Tiger and Panther tanks on equal terms, the Pershing arrived only in the war's final months, seeing limited but genuinely effective combat use, and its lineage would directly influence every American main battle tank developed throughout the early Cold War. M36 Jackson Tank Destroyer. Mounting a powerful 90mm gun on a modified Sherman chassis, The M36 gave American forces a genuinely capable answer to German heavy armor, its open-top turret trading crew protection for a lighter, faster platform built around the doctrine that tank destroyers should hunt rather than absorb enemy fire. M18 Hellcat tank destroyer. The fastest American armored vehicle of the war, the Hellcat's doctrine emphasized speed and ambush tactics over armor protection, allowing crews to strike and reposition before German gunners could return effective fire, a genuinely innovative approach to mobile anti-tank warfare. M10 Wolverine tank destroyer. An earlier tank destroyer mounting a 76mm gun on a modified Sherman hull, the Wolverine formed the backbone of American tank destroyer battalions during the North African and Italian campaigns, before later variants like the Jackson gradually replaced it with more powerful firepower. M8 Greyhound armored car. Though technically a wheeled armored car rather than a tracked tank, the Greyhound performed vital reconnaissance duties across every American armored division, its speed on roads making it invaluable for scouting ahead of advancing columns despite offering minimal armor protection against serious resistance. American tank design during World War II was rarely defined by raw technical superiority over its German counterparts, and Army crews facing Tigers and Panthers and Sherman tanks understood this trade-off intimately. What ultimately proved decisive was America's staggering industrial capacity, a wartime production machine capable of building tanks, replacing losses, and supplying every Allied front simultaneously at a scale no other nation on Earth could match. From the outdated M2 that embarrassed the Army at the war's outset to the Pershing that finally matched Germany's best in the war's final weeks, the story of American armor in World War II is fundamentally a story about the overwhelming power of industrial mobilization.